And you can't.
And like people are gonna.
You can't try to tell me that Interscope Records is not the master of creating and selling beef. Look back at Death Row Records. You know what I mean? Pac had beef with Dre. Dre did Aftermath. Aftermath is still Interscope. Death Row was Interscope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all this shit is Interscope. Tupac, before he signed to Death Row, was signed to Interscope. Then he signed to Death Row, which is a branch of Interscope, because shit presented the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, Interscope has their hand in this whole thing, pulling strings, making people beef with each other.
But you can't look at Interscope the same way because Jimmy's not there no more.
Yeah, well, you want to talk about Jimmy and all his ventures, you know what I mean? And I agree with that. He was that mind behind it, but once you have a blueprint, it's that difficult to keep running something in the same fashion, especially when you have the same people working around you.
Okay, but when he goes somewhere else and makes something happen on another level, like...
I think that's connections too, man. You have to look at that. Like, Dre played his cards right with Jimmy Iovine and brought him a lot of money.
Did you watch the Defiant ones?
Not yet.
Man, like before we should.
You know what I watched
we should probably come back to a Jimmy Iovine conversation. We should end that now. Yeah.
But it's like all media. Like, it's subjective. When you're watching media,
I have so much respect for.
I know,
for
and
Jimmy Iovine after watching the Defiant ones.
Trust me, I have a lot of respect for him. But if you watch a documentary on the Rockefeller family that's made by fucking PBS News, then you're gonna feel the same way as an uneducated individual about people and their roles they've played in history. You're gonna feel a different way. You're gonna watch that and be like, yo, these guys are dope. These guys made
opportunity. I watched this within like last year. I've watched a lot of media stuff, and like I've watched stuff where I know they're sugarcoating themselves. You know what I'm saying? And people have done videos and like
media is made to portray people in good images when it's about them, especially.
I've watched a lot of this shit, so like I can tell what's like what they're trying to like overdo on. You know, I find the Defiant ones was just kind of like
natural.
I've
seen clips from it. It does seem natural, and that's the thing. Like sometimes the easiest thing is just talk about the most natural parts of things and the most real. But you have to look at Interscope, man. You have to look at Interscope.
When he moves. Think about how big Apple has gotten over the last 4 years.
Because I'm telling you, Jimmy Iovine himself is an influential dude. How do you think him and Dre create headphones that cost, what, 20 times more than the average headphone people were buying prior to, and make them multi-million dollar corporation out of it?
There was a big thing like Eminem saying in like the Defiant ones, he was saying like, Jimmy Iovine just kept on bugging me about these fucking headphones. Like, there's always had to be a fucking point in the video where somebody's wearing the headphones, like, to the point, like he obsessively made that happen with every single video that came out around a certain time. And now, if you look at what Beats did.
Because do you know what? It's the exact. Do you know what Jimmy Iovine did?
Jimmy Iovine was pushing that, like, when people were just like, I don't know what to say. It's like.
Yeah, don't quote me. I don't read into modern American business. You know what I mean? Aside from like maybe the atrocities and the backdoor things. I don't read into like the mainstream information 9 times out of 10 about a lot of shit. But the one thing I will say is that is very similar to what Apple did. So it'd be very suiting for him to move to Apple if he mimicked their patterns of business. But if you think about the iPod came out and it was relatively useless if you think about it, aside the fact Mac owned it. It was an Apple product.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it was the same as any other MP3 player. It's actually more annoying because it doesn't work standardly with all computers. You have to actually have a stupid fucking program. So it's the hardest one to use, but yet prevails as the best one over the years. Knocks every other competitor out of business and becomes its own cell phone. And creates its own whole musical market. Now tell me that's not the way Jimmy Iovine works. He's a perfect suit for Apple. Now that he's left,
even like when he was going to Apple, he said in the thing, he was like, there was like years before when he was like telling Apple, like, he's like, yo, we should get into like streaming and stuff like that, and like Apple hesitated for like, and like he had a vision for that whole thing. Like he said, Apple had hesitated for years.
Really?
And then like finally like he convinced him to come in and then And look at Apple now. Like he's seen that for them because like he was like.
And do you know what also that makes me think too?
And then
with the power,
it makes me think, what's he doing now? Because he's leaving.
Well, with the power of the motor of Interscope and everything.
Yeah.
Because you know Rosenberg too. He just went to go on what, President Def Jam now?
Def Jam.
From being Eminem's manager, runner, Shady Records for how many years? And now he's
the main guy from Complex is over there now too.
Yeah. And do you know what? You know, not to be conspiracy theorist Joe. But what I'm at, like, if you really look at it, man, that's the way American history works in capitalism is people look out for one another, people who have done favors for them in other businesses, blah, 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 poo, 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 meh, 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 you know what I'm saying? But basically, I personally, to a degree, don't get me wrong, for the people it sounds like I'm hating on Eminem, I don't hate Eminem. Eminem, in certain periods of his career, is the best MC alive. But he also brings a lot of disappointment, and especially with this album and the whole media coverage I've seen against it, I'm almost to believe that Eminem is being sabotaged. They sabotaged Michael Jackson. They sabotaged great artists, especially if they own rights to their music. And if Eminem has shady records, I think Eminem owns rights to things that maybe a lot of artists don't. And there's a powerful machine that maybe wants certain things. It's like, now a lot of people said Tupac movie was whack, but there's parts about it that are dope. And it's when Afeni Shakur goes to Tupac, Afeni, his mother, goes to Tupac, once Tupac gets big, right? And she goes to him and she's like, she's bitching at him kind of about like the thug life thing, right? And he's like, you know, kind of like whatever. And she's like, he's like, what do you expect from me? I'm not a black leader or something, because she says something about black leaders. And she's like, the vice president of the United States is talking about you. You know what I mean? Like, whether you realize it or not, you are a leader.
Yeah.
And, shit, I don't remember the point I'm trying to make anymore. I just got in the Tupac movie right there real quick.
But yeah, like...
What was the point we were trying to make?
You didn't even drink that.
I did. I took a sip.
Okay.
But either way, the industry.
Jimmy Iovine, and then we were, I forget where we're going from there.
Yeah, it was something, the Tupac movie related to something and his mother and saying like you're a leader. I don't know why that conversation. I can't remember what we're trying to bring up anymore. If you can't notice, you know, no Condom podcast. We go rob, we get drunk.
Yeah.
You're basically just watching us have a conversation.
Before we go on, I just want to say I'm a big fan of Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah, like no disrespect, but the media will make you think what they want you to think of somebody. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But Tupac...
Interscope Records in the 90s.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, too. Like, you don't understand the power these guys have.
Yeah, so you mentioned all the rappers, right?
Well, first off, Death Row.
Yeah.
So, early
Tupac.
Snoop, Dr. Dre, DOC, Early Lady of Rage, DPG, fucking Warren G.
Warren G was that jam.
Okay, yeah. Just...
You know,
he had Death Row alone.
Hold on, you think about what he had on the other side and the other genre?
He had Tupac on the other side, just signed to Interscope, not under Death Row. Like, the East Coast West. Like,
he ran another genre, too. He had 9 Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson.
I know.
So you think about all the rappers he had at the time, and 9 Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson in the 90s.
They're like the best-selling shit he had.
Yeah, like...
And he did keep investing in rap because he's seen the power behind it.
Yeah, like, they probably sold more than...
9 Inch Nails...
Hold on, do you think 9 Inch Nails and like Marilyn Manson probably sold more than Death Row at the time?
Well,
it's different genres.
They were the #1 label at the time.
But then, like, hip-hop wasn't the #1 grossing thing.
This year, it just became the highest grossing music. So other genres are outselling.
No doubt. He had No Doubt.
Yep.
Come on, man. Like, shit.
But Interscope. See, the crazy thing is what you have to understand about Interscope, though, is there's an image portrayal that like the Island Def Jam and that like these other labels are the biggest ball players. Yeah. But Interscope is like in the background being the biggest player of all time.
Yeah.
Tupac, one of the best selling albums, when you still bought physical albums, most of the albums of all time. Interscope. Before you signed to Death Row, and then Death Row was Interscope.
All his shit is Interscope.
The industry will say, oh, I remember the point I was trying to make now. Tupac's mom says to him, the industry will give you, it's same like when we were doing the Black Panthers and we were trying to rise to success, they will give you everything you need to set yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
And it is so true, and that's the way it is. That's legit the way it is. And like Tupac's a whole other conversation, because my personal belief, the FBI or the CIA outed Tupac, well, not even the CIA, I don't even think it was on their level, because the FBI, when the Black Panther Party were so prominent, they were the ones who infiltrated and took them out. So I believe it was just one of those outlasting things, you know, and they just delivered it through the same section of government as they did the first time. They did it through the FBI. But there is links to people, you know, either way. Tupac's murder is
So you think things will change when Oprah becomes president?
Haitian Jack was a snitch.